Morning, everybody. Welcome to Joe's Wildside Adventures. I'm up here on a 5-day hunt in Cranbrook in British Columbia with the 123 outfit. And today I'm with guide Chris Wiggins. How you doing, Chris?
Doing good, Joe. Doing good.
Good. As you can see, the sun's just starting to come up here. We're probably at about 5,000 feet elevation. And we're going to be doing a moose hunt, whitetail hunt, muley, and a wolf hunt. All 4 species we got tags for. And we're going to start today, our first day in this big draw here. And Chris, this is my first time in BC. I'm real excited to be here. What do you think about
good to have you. Yeah, so far things are looking really good. As you can see, it's nice crisp morning. We got a little bit of snow cover. Couldn't really ask for much better conditions. A little bit crunchy. We're gonna have to watch being quiet, but we have a nice high elevation here up today. So we're gonna kind of get to look down and get to see where all the animals are moving, and got a lot of visibility all around. So now we just gotta go and find them.
Sounds great. I'm real excited. So stay tuned when Joe's Wildside Adventures returns, Cranbrook, British Columbia, on a moose, whitetail, wolf, and muley hunt. Chris set up a little fire here. We're gonna warm up a little bit. We're up about 5,000 feet. It's a little chilly, but the wind's calm, so it's not too bad. But it's always nice to take that little chill off.
It just takes that edge off. You get out there and you get a little cold, and yeah, it's nice to warm up for sure.
Yeah, and this moose hunt we're doing, it's not your typical Alaskan or Yukon giant 65-inch moose. These are Shiras moose, and they're also known as what, a Wyoming moose?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, there's a couple different Shiras or Shiras, but it's basically a moose that just lives in the southern part of BC and northern part of the United States. It has quite a wide range of territory. It hangs up in the high alpine lakes, a lot of in the woodlands, a lot of on the side hills of the mountaintops, and runs the ridges. A little bit different than your typical Canadian moose or Alaska moose, which tends to hang in the marsh areas, a little bit of the lowlands, a little bit more.
And that's typically when I think of moose hunting, or I'm sure a lot of you guys out there, you think of the moose in the swamps in the lowlands. These are basically mountain moose, and they're like up on the top of these ridges here. It's pretty interesting.
No, it's quite a bit different. Like you say, a lot of it is typical what you would typically consider elk country, and you see them wandering around, and you're a lot of times elk hunting, and boom, moose all the time. And you say it's not typical. I'm from out east originally too, and I always have associated moose with swamps and marshes and stuff like that. Not to say that they're not in there, but they find the little pothole lakes that sit in the backs of the drainages, and that's where they like to hang out.
So what is the basic food source of the Shiras moose?
Well, typically they eat a lot of browse coming off of the edge of any of the pothole little lakes that they can find, but they also eat a lot of the tag alders, the bud ends. They get into some of the conifers and the fir trees that are up in the alpine firs that are up high. They like to just take the top little edge, the buds off the ends of them. Basically, it's a browse animal, and they eat similar stuff all throughout the season. They hit the grasses and stuff in the summertime and that, but once it gets into the later fall and into the winter, it's mainly kind of a harsher diet of evergreens and conifers and any kind of twig browse end that they can find.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Shiras moose, and hopefully we're going to be able to, we got 5 days to get one, so we're checking it out and seeing what it's like. So stay tuned, folks. When we come back, more Joe's Wildside Adventures from Cranbrook in British Columbia. Well, welcome back, everybody. Last night, we spotted a couple moose in this area, and there was a small bull and a cow. It was getting dark on us, and we also saw another rather nice bull up on the other hillside this morning, very near to where we saw the other two. So we decided to come back, start this morning. We're going to do some glassing, looking around, checking both sides of the hill and see if we can see that big bull. He looked to be pretty decent. We only got a glimpse of him for about 10 seconds, and then he went inside some of the alders and we lost him. So we're going to hang around here this morning, let the sun get up a little bit, and we'll see if we can pick that big bull up again. We were walking up the trail behind us, and Chris heard a grunt from a bull moose up on this valley. So we found this little vantage point here, and we're going to try and have Chris call a little bit, see if we can get him to come out of he's up in the big timbers up there. Well, we got on the set of fresh tracks a little bit back, and you saw we found some scat. And Chris, looks like freshly eaten right here.
This is some of the browse that we were talking about earlier. The alders and the snow brush, and the moose that we were just following. We're probably about, I would say, 20-25 minutes behind, and but obviously not in a panic scenario. Just walking along, there's actually two of them, and they're kind of interweaving and zigzagging, and they're slowly feeding on the alders and the snow brush. You can see all brand new fresh tips all through here that have just been nipped off. So these animals haven't been spooked, but they're just kind of milling through this a mixture of alpine fir and alder, and just eating and walking along. So we're just going to try to keep following it down. They seem to have gone down, and they're probably bedded because it's starting to get about 10:30 in the morning now. They're probably going to find a spot under a fir tree, lay down, bed for the day. So we're going to slowly try to poke our way through, track them down, and see if we can't hook up with them.
We'll show you some of the tracks, but there's a big difference in the tracks we saw yesterday. There's a little bit of ice in the bottoms. You could tell they were a day or two old, but these are fresh. They're fresh imprints, and there's some powder along the edges, and a little trail behind the track as well. And like Chris said, they're not in a panic. They're walking, but they can cover a lot of ground. I mean, their legs have to be 4 foot high.
They walk through a lot easier than we do.
Yeah,
that's not even comparable.
Well, we're going to check back in a little bit. We're going to see if we can pick this trail up again and get on these animals. Okay, we get here's a fresh track. Now, just to give you an idea how big these tracks are, and this is not a very big one right here. It's probably a hind foot. We'll get into the front. But here's my hand. You can see the size of these things. You can make out like on a white-tailed deer. Look at the size of this thing. I put my whole hand in it. And like I said, we've seen some bigger ones, but that's a good fresh one. And it's got some sunlight on it, and you can see it pretty well. So look at that. It looks like a normal dog print. You can see the pads. Now I'm gonna put my hand down. Size of that pup.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's kind of meandering around in here, having a little, just wondering where this moose is going and stuff.
I can't get over the size of these tracks. I wouldn't want to run into that guy face to face.
No.
Wow. Well, we've been tracking this bull the better part of 2 hours. And we've come through some really rugged country. And we got into this area here. We're seeing scrapes and rubs and a lot of sign where he is rubbing his velvet off his.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect, I mean, this is not very old, would you say?
Yeah, so he's been around in this area for a while now. We're obviously getting close to where he calls home, I think. And you can see this is a little different than a typical elk rub and stuff because of how low it goes down on the tree. Moose with their big wide antlers can get down lower, where typically an elk will start up higher up the tree. And because of the way the configuration of their antlers, they'll be 8-9 feet high. So the moose tends to stay a little bit lower, closer to the ground. But he's been thrashing at this one pretty good.
Yeah, and this is pretty fresh too because there's fresh pieces of the bark laying on top of the snow. So he's been in here in the last day or two, and we're still on the fresh tracks. Would you say we've gone a couple kilometers anyway, a couple miles?
Yeah, we've gone a couple miles now, but hopefully we're closing in on him, and we'll keep tracking him for a bit longer, see where he's going.
Okay, let's take another look. Had a little false alarm. We saw this big black. Ended up being a big stump up here, but the way the sun was hitting, it was real shiny. This moose is torturing us. He's taking us up through all these elders. You still got the trail? Okay. Next time, hopefully, it'll be the real thing. Well, about 9 o'clock this morning, we picked up a trail of a moose, and we actually heard a nice bull. Called it for a little bit, and it answered a few times, and then we picked up his trail. He was with a couple other moose, but we didn't know whether they were, we never did see them. We didn't know whether he was with a cow or a calf, but there was 3 sets of tracks. We tracked the bull all the way to that peak up there, and I'm estimating it's about 3 miles from here, and you can see the timber that's between us, where we're at right now, and that peak. And let me tell you, that was a haul. It took us about 7 hours to get up into that bull. We found his fresh tracks. We were on him all day. I think the thing that hurt us today was we saw some big wolf tracks that we showed you a little earlier, and towards the end of our stalk, the wolf tracks were right in the moose tracks. So our bet is that moose is nowhere to be found. He's probably running from that wolf, and kind of put a damper on our stalk. But just to show you this territory, how vast, how big it is, it's just massive. So like I said, we're gonna sit here, we're gonna watch this big draw here in these pine trees. We saw some in here yesterday, and we'll see what happens until dark. Well, welcome back everybody. It's day 4 of our hunt, Chris, and haven't seen a whole lot, but we've seen a lot of sign, which is a good thing. And sooner or later, we're going to get on to the animals. But that area we were in yesterday, that 7-hour stalk was, it was grueling to say the least. But we're going to leave those alone and try Cooper's Lake today.
Yeah, we're going to try a little more of like a kind of more what you'd be typically see in the eastern moose. It's a high alpine lake, but you've got a lot of marsh areas around it, and I'm hoping that they might be in around here. So we've got about a 1.5 mile hike up into the alpine, and beautiful, beautiful picturesque country. We're gonna go check it out, and hopefully that big bull's hanging up in there.
Yeah, well, you know what? This is some beautiful area. We saw this area from about 5 miles away. You could see it from the ridge we were on the other day. I can't wait to get in there. So let's go take a look.
All right,
see
let's
what we
go.
got. Well, it wasn't 30 seconds when we just did that little lead-in talking about going back to Cooper, and Travis, our cameraman, spotted these 2 moose up on that mountain there. I don't know how well you could see him, but the one is a huge animal. He's got his head in a bush. We're trying to ID him to see whether he's a bull. We're pretty sure he is, and then for sure we have a cow behind him. I don't know that we'd have an opportunity to get up there, but if that thing has a big enough rack, I'll scale that wall if I have to. So let's get a little closer and see if we can ID him. We're going to take a quick break from hunting. We're going to stop for lunch here, but one thing I'd like to talk about when you're out in the wilderness or in the mountains anywhere, you always want to be prepared for when the weather goes south on you. And obviously today we have a beautiful sunny day. The temperature is in the 40s, so it's very comfortable. But just some basic tips. Chris was talking a little bit about it. We've been building a fire every day, but not a lot of people are very familiar with that. You know, you take it for granted, you take the elements for granted, and how dangerous it actually can be at times. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go very quickly over setting up a campfire. If you get stranded in the evening, you have to spend a night. What you want to try and do is find some shelter first of all. You want to look for some big rock formations so that when you do get your fire going, you've got a nice base and you've got a nice area where the heat's going to stay and it's going to reflect. So what we want to do first is we want to get some of these dried twigs, and you want to make sure that they're very dry. When you break them, you want to hear that nice snap noise. And we're going to build a little base just so we can get some air up underneath the fire. You don't want to set it right on the ground because the ground could be damp, or you could have some issues with some water laying there. So the first thing we'll do is we'll put our base together. And then what you want to look for is either, a lot of people call it old man's beard, or it's basically lichen, and it's very dry and very flammable. And we're going to put some of this on the top. And really what we're trying to do is get this fire going quickly so that you could start adding some more fuel to it. The other thing that I have here is some dried up pine needles, dead branches.
The nice thing is with the balsam fir is that there is actually pitch in the needles itself, which is a very flammable material.
Almost like a fuel.
It is an actual fuel, and once you can get those heated and going, you'll find that those burn really well and just give you the heat that you need to get the rest of that. Just the little dryness, because there's always moisture and humidity in any piece of wood, and it just takes just that edge off and lets it keep going. Now right now the important thing is to keep piling very small little pieces of wood and keep adding your fuel so you can dry it as your flame is going.
And once we get our fire going, we're going to show you a new trick that I just learned this week up here. You pack your sandwiches, you pack your lunch, and then about midday you're hungry and you take this freezing cold sandwich out of your backpack, and it's good, but we'll show you a better way. So we're going to let this fire get going a little bit. We'll get some bigger pieces of wood on and we'll come back. Well, you can see we got our fire nice and hot, and got a few twigs. These guys up here in British Columbia showed us how to toast our sandwiches. As I said earlier, when you're walking down the trail and all morning long and the weather's pretty cold, that sandwich kind of gets cold too, you know?
Yeah, a little bit cold and a little bit damp, and there's nothing like a nice warm lunch after a cold morning of glassing and sitting on the shore. It's just that little added touch.
Yeah. Let's see. Nice and warm, just the way I like it. Well, it's getting towards the end of the day. We're running out of light pretty quick, and we decided to take a ride up here at another mountain called Heaven. We did see some moose earlier today, but only two. While we were up walking this trail, checking it out and see if we can, spot any sign of moose for tomorrow, we spotted a nice mature billy goat up on the top of this mountain. And he's still roaming around up there. He's up there, he's really nice, and that's been something I've been wanting to do for a long time. In fact, talking about for sure doing it next year, but he's just walking around. I think he has my name written all over the side of his coat. What do you think of it? All right, that's so we're running out of light for today. We'll check back tomorrow. Well, this is the last day of our moose hunt. We just pulled up here, and I was doing some glassing, and we got a really good bull up here. I would imagine he's about 700 yards. We're gonna take a walk up this draw, and we're gonna see if we can get a position above him a little bit and get a shot. What do you think? Yeah, we're gonna get in there, sneak in, we get 300. He's as good as ours. Okay, let's go, let's go. We can get up behind these. Well, we took a walk this morning right after we saw the bull, and here's his bed. And when you look back at the truck where we're parked, it's 585 yards to here, and that's where we saw him. We thought we can get up on him and get a closer shot. He must have got up out of his bed, and you can see his tracks. Walked right out across this trail and up over there. We must have missed him by 2 minutes or 3 minutes. By the time we got out from the car, got up the road, he had already left. So we spent about an hour and a half trying to figure out where he went, what he's doing. We got a place to start. We're gonna go back to our vehicle now. We're gonna get our packs and get ready for a nice long hike this afternoon. We're gonna track this moose.
Yeah, trying to put the long stalk on and see if we can't catch him in his bed, bump him up, and get him where we can get an open shot.
Yeah, fortunately, right now we got about 4 or 5 inches of good snow, and we'll be able to do a nice track on him, and hopefully we'll catch him in his bed this afternoon.
No, he should be laying down now. He's done his morning feed, and hopefully we can make some time up on him here in the next hour or two.
All right, let's go get our stuff, and we'll check back in a little bit. Okay, he's coming out from behind the trees right now. I can see him.
All right, I'll range him here, but whenever you feel comfortable, get a nice broadside shot.
I gotta get steady.
Okay.
He's walking right towards us. I got the safety off.
Okay.
As soon as he turns broadside, he's coming in.
You're about 360 out.
Okay, he's turning to the left.
Whenever you're comfortable.
I don't have a clear shot. He's feeding. He's stopped right behind that tree. I can't stop shaking. He's still feeding.
The first nice shot. When he opens up his chest, just squeeze one off.
Okay. No, I can't take the shot. He's still feeding behind that tree. Okay. He's turning back around. Now his rear end's facing me. When he takes a shot, okay, he's going to the right now. When he steps out from behind that tree, I'm going to take him.
Okay.
Okay. There he is. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got him. Okay, you got him.
Get him?
That's it. Yeah, he's going down.
Get him?
Yeah, nice shot. That's it. Reload.
Yeah.
Reload down.
He's just standing. He's wobbling. There he goes. There he goes. He's down. He's down.
Nice job.
He went down right by the tree over there.
I'm gonna mark him and make sure where we're at. Nice job. Beautiful shot.
360 yards.
That's awesome.
I saw him go on his back and his legs went up in the air. I'm pretty sure he's down. Oh, I gotta catch my breath.
Nice job. Awesome. Finally, it only took about 12 hours today to finally
12 days. We saw this bull at about 8 o'clock this morning, first light.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to take the shot. I was about 575 yards. I was just a little bit far. We had him marked really well. We knew exactly where he was. And you tell the story about the cows. You talked about some bad luck.
Yeah, we just ran into some real bad luck today. Timing is everything, as you all know, and we missed that bull crossing the cows. They dragged that bull out of his bedding area this morning, and man, we came up the trail, and we just missed him crossing that road. We tracked him all day long, figured out where they're bedding, where they're feeding, picked up 2 or 3 vantage points today. Got up, got some elevation here today, and we've been sitting here for about 2.5, 3 hours now, waiting for light to come, and he came out exactly where we thought. Good job.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris.
Yeah,
that was
awesome.
unbelievable.
Awesome.
Let's go see if we can take a look at it.
Yeah, all right.
Well, we wanted to make sure we didn't lose the animal, so we sent Chris down. We watched him through the binoculars, and he found the animal about 360 yards. So you can see how thick this stuff is. It's amazing how these things get through here, and they're basically, you can't see them. They're invisible. So we're only about another, I'd say, 150 yards away from the animal. So let's go see him. We're about 30 yards away after 5 days of climbing these mountains. This old man's whooped.
We're just about there. It'll be all worthwhile.
What'd you do for shoot him so far up the hill for? Or you should have let him walk down closer to the road.
Where is he?
We got the one-shot wonder coming.
Yeah?
Let me take you to your trophy.
All right. I can't believe how thick this stuff is.
I know, it's crazy to think that they actually live and walk through this stuff all the time. That was a hell of a shot. I don't think he went 2 steps.
Oh! Holy cow!
There he is, my friend.
Oh,
Hell
look
of
at
a
that.
job.
Look at that, Shiras moose. My goodness, is that thing big?
He is huge. He's a
Holy
monster.
cow. Look at the size of this animal.
Yeah, he's a beauty. He's a monster.
Half rack.
Yeah, he's busted that off, probably either fighting or running up and down through these mountains.
Look at the size of this thing.
Yeah, he makes us look small in
Holy
comparison.
cow. Look at the size of him.
No, he's a beauty. Beautiful big sail black.
Wow.
He is gorgeous. Yeah,
What would you estimate how much he weighs?
I would think he's a good 650, 700 pounds.
Holy cow.
But a beautiful shot, nice clean kill. Excellent job.
Thank you. I don't even, there's no exit wound.
No, I didn't find anything at all yet.
Shooting a 300 Weatherby, and I'm pretty sure I got a vital shot on him. Didn't even come out the other side of the animal. Look at the size of these legs.
Yeah,
Holy
massive, massive animal. Even his head. There's 100 pounds of head there.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
No, a fine job, fine kill, excellent
Thank
hunt,
you
sir.
so much. Thank you so much,
It
Chris.
shows every once in a while where a little hard work and a lot of determination pays off.
Yeah, it sure does. I tell you.
I've done a lot of moose hunting, and you know, we didn't get discouraged. We kept going and we gave it our all, and you know, it finally paid off. Hard work does count, and you've got to put the legwork in, and
Well,
eventually things come around.
You know, the hard work is one thing, but having a guide like yourself who, I mean, 5 days, it was amazing how much ground we covered, how much territory we covered, and the way we, this to me, I don't care how big the rack, if it was a spike, it wouldn't matter. This hunt today was what it's all about.
No,
it's just, you see the animal, you stalk them, you put a plan together, and it worked the way, just exactly the way we planned it, and I can't thank you enough for it. Well, Chris, you know, it's just amazing. I can't tell you how excited I am right now. It's hard for me to talk, but I got to back up a little bit. A couple of months ago, I was sitting in my office. I looked on the internet on my Magnum Hunt Club membership. I saw a cancellation hunt for a moose, whitetail, mule deer, and a wolf hunt in British Columbia. And believe me when I tell you, what I paid for this hunt, you'll never believe it. You got to become a Magnum Hunt Club member. You get an email just about every day for these wonderful cancellation hunts, and this is a hunt of a lifetime. I've always wanted to go on a moose hunt. Like I said earlier in the show, a Shiras moose. This is a species that's in the northwestern United States and British Columbia. It's a smaller species, but you're not going to convince me at all that this is a small moose.
He's a monster.
This thing is a monster. But I want to thank 123 Outfit, Wilf Boardman, Chris Wiggins. I can't thank you enough for the wonderful job
It was my
you
pleasure.
did.
I had an awesome time. We learned a lot. We had a lot of fun,
Oh, did I?
and we put a lot of legwork in, and we earned this meal.
Hey, thanks for watching, folks. Make sure you stay tuned for Cooking on the Wild Side, because we're going to have some moose fillets on this episode. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Woo!
Hello everybody, welcome back to Cooking on the Wild Side. I hope everybody enjoyed that show from British Columbia. That was a wonderful experience, and I actually brought back some of the moose meat. And I have the pleasure of working today with one of my good friends and probably my favorite chef in the city of Pittsburgh, Mr. Sam DiBattista from Vivo Restaurant. Hi, Sam.
Joe, you're too kind.
Oh, please. This is really, folks, we're going to talk about Vivo today. My wife and I are here all the time. We love it here. I was in the restaurant several months back, and you did a venison ossobuco,
Right.
But I don't have it on the bone today. So what are you going to prepare with this moose?
Well, we got this moose, and we're going to do a slow braised moose over a soft polenta, and we're going to braise it with some just off-the-shelf ingredients. I took some orange marmalade, some red wine, whatever wine you have on the shelf will be fine, and then we're going to serve it with pan roasted tomatoes. These are just cherry tomatoes with some salt, pepper, a little bit of parsley on them. These are pearl onions. They were fresh, and all we did was sauteed them and browned them off, caramelized them in a little bit of olive oil.
One of the things that's going to be fun today, Sam, is I don't have to work.
No.
I'm just going to watch an expert at his trade do his thing, so let's get started.
First thing we're going to do is put some olive oil in the pan and get that smoking hot. I have some sea salt that I like to use. This is an Australian sea salt. It's just fun to play with this kind of stuff. And then we'll add some pepper. And just season both sides real nice. You want to make sure that's nice and hot and get a nice brown crust on the outside of the meat. Then we'll just flip it over. Once you get a nice crust, like nice and brown on one side, we'll flip it over. Let it brown a little bit more on the other side, and we'll go ahead and hit it with the wine and some garlic. Be careful when you do this, it could flare up. But I basically cover it. That's just burning off the alcohol. I'm going to season it again with just a little salt and pepper. Then I'm going to add the marmalade. Now you're trying to get a little sweetness. It's not that you don't want this to be sugary sweet. You just want that little finish of sweetness. Stir that in. We just want to add some slices of garlic real quick. Not too much. And then we're going to add just a little chopped parsley. Put a lid on it, and that'll just braise for about an hour.
Hey, Sam, while we have our moose braising, it's going to be a while. You have another hobby, and it's kind of cutting edge stuff, and tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I'm a big fan of vinyl records, and I started collecting vinyl a couple of years ago, and I got into physically building turntables. So I have a production model getting ready to hit the market, and I'd love to show you guys what I'm up to. It might be kind of fun. Soft polenta. Now, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I don't really use a lot of heavy creams and butters in my cooking, but when it comes to polenta, you got it. I just think you need to use some cream and some butter in it. So I have about a cup of heavy cream in there. We're going to add a little butter to that, just a little pat of butter to get that in there. And then again, a little salt and pepper. And you just want to add this slowly until you get a nice consistency. Like I say, this is instant, so it doesn't take a real long time.
So you're just kind of blending that in there,
Yeah, just
and
kind of
it'll
blend
start
it
to
in.
thicken up.
It'll start to thicken up. And I'm looking for a nice soft polenta, so more of a creamy polenta than a dry one. So we're kind of getting to the point where we got a nice soft polenta with a little bit of butter and salt and pepper in it. That's about what we're looking for.
Okay.
Well, obviously braising takes time, so this is about an hour and a half after we started, and you end up with a nice thick brown sauce, which is what we were looking for. And the meat is nice and tender. All right, we're going to plate this up now. So what I'd like to do is end up with a nice little dollop of the polenta right there. And we're going to put the mousse right on top. Now let me do this. We'll just line it up right on there.
Does that smell fantastic?
And you just the sauce is just going to be over the top. And we'll finish it with the tomatoes and the onions.
Sam, how come I can never get anything to look that pretty?
I lucked out today.
It is beautiful.
And then we're going to do the onions on top. And always have to have a little bit of parsley. I don't know what it is, but I consider parsley a seasoning. I know a lot of people use it as a garnish, but to me it's integral to the dish. Oh, what you got here is braised mousse over a soft polenta with a red wine reduction and caramelized onions and grape tomatoes.
All right, let's give this a shot. Wow, the flavors in that are unbelievable.
Yeah, it turned out nice.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey folks, we're going to give you all the information for Vivo Restaurant, and we're going to put Sam's website and phone number on there. You got to come out and say hello to Sam, and make sure you tell him that Joe sent you. That's going to do it for today's show, folks. I want to thank you for watching Cooking on the Wild Side. So until the next time, thanks for watching. Bon appetit.